seems like things are just going on as if nothing happened. These are serious, serious charges.
The mayor's inner circle moves to force Russ Wyatt to step back. What today's vote could mean for the Transcona councillor going forward. Also tonight.
And I think that it's just gotten exponentially worse.
A Winnipeg man charged after threats are made towards an MLA. What it means for the state of political discourse in Manitoba. Plus, bracing for wildfire season.
If we're all in this together, then let's truly all be in this together.
How officials are preparing after one of the worst wildfire years in decades.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Taylor Brock.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Hendricks. After calls to take a step back were ignored, the mayor and his inner circle are taking action against Russ Wyatt. The Transcona councillor was arrested and charged last month, accused of drugging and sexually assaulting a man. But just a day after those charges were laid, a defiant Wyatt took part in a city council meeting. Now, as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, EPC has voted to boot Russ Wyatt from a number of city committees.
He defied calls to stay away. Now the mayor's inner circle is taking action to restrict Councillor Russ Wyatt's duties at City Hall.
I think we have to act in such a manner as a council that we show that we're taking this matter seriously.
Last month, the Winnipeg Police Service announced Wyatt was arrested for drugging and sexually assaulting a man. The mayor and others said he should not attend council or other meetings pending the outcome of the criminal charges. Wyatt did not listen.
Councillor, why are you here today, sir?
Excuse me, I'm going to my council meeting.
So now the mayor put forward a motion at Executive Policy Committee to remove Wyatt from the Property and Development Committee and 4 other committees and boards. EPC voted in favor. Council will have the final say next week.
The councillor was provided an opportunity to step away. He chose not to do that. This formal process is the only option we have.
Even if council signs off, Wyatt can still sit on council and the East Kildonan Transcona Community Committee. Wyatt sent CTV News a statement in response to EPC's move. I am innocent. I have done nothing wrong, and I will have my day in court to prove that. And unlike the mayor and obviously members of EPC, I still believe in the rule of law that one is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. Despite that presumption of innocence, the mayor and other EPC members say councillors have to be held to a higher standard, and they've been getting calls from the public to do something.
I've had emails from residents, and I think for what we are able to do, this is what we can do.
One of the concerns is it seems like things are just going on as if nothing happened. These are serious, serious charges.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
City Council does not have the authority to prevent a councillor from attending City Council sessions. Now, that's according to the City of Winnipeg Charter, which is a provincial act. To change it, the province would have to make amendments to that act. Mounties are appealing for information on the 4th anniversary of a man's disappearance in southern Manitoba. Sean Roy Minnis was last seen on this day in 2022 at his home on Tupper Street in Portage la Prairie. He was reported missing 2 days later. He was 42 years at the time that he went missing and is described as 6 foot tall with brown eyes and balding brown hair. RCMP and Minnis's family believe someone may hold information that can help find him, even if they don't realize it. Investigators are now asking anyone with information, even if they previously spoke to police, to contact Portage RCMP or Crime Stoppers anonymously. An update for you now on an apartment fire story that we told you about yesterday. Police have found a person deceased in one of the suites. The fire broke out at this apartment building in the 400 block on Kennedy Street on Monday afternoon. When police arrived, firefighters were already battling the blaze and people inside the building had evacuated. Later, a body was found inside a suite. There's no information about the age or gender of the victim. The cause of the fire is still unknown. Anyone with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. A man has been charged with allegedly threatening MLA Nahani Fontaine. Police say the 72-year-old man sent the Minister of Families a number of letters full of vile and racist comments. As CTV's Joseph Bernacki shows you, Minister Fontaine says her office started receiving the letters with grotesque messages in July.
When I say to you that for myself, it is a daily, weekly occurrence. I mean that.
Minister of Families Nahanni Fontaine said she's been targeted by constant harassment. She reacted to the news Tuesday that a 72-year-old man has been charged with 2 criminal counts in relation to letters sent to her office. They contain messages described as vile and racist.
I don't know if I've become numb to it over the last 10 years, but I think that those letters, those were particularly violent.
On Tuesday, Winnipeg Police Service said the man was charged with criminal harassment and uttering threats to cause death or bodily harm. Minister Fontaine says the letters were received between July to September of last year, shortly before her constituency office was set ablaze. She says the level of animosity towards elected officials has skyrocketed since the COVID-19 pandemic.
All of a sudden, something like a light switch went off and people felt more emboldened to send things, to say things, to do things, to send you DMs. And I think that it's just gotten exponentially worse.
Chris Adams, adjunct professor in political science from the University of Manitoba, says the escalation in public threats has exponentially grown since the start of U.S. President Donald Trump's second term in office. An attitude shift towards officials has taken place across both borders.
We're seeing more often a lack of courtesy, a lack of politeness between people, and it escalates right up to the point of people seeing this as a green light for their making racist attacks on MLAs.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The 72-year-old suspect has been released on an undertaking. None of the charges have been tested in court. As communities in various parts of the province brace for potentially damaging floods, officials are already getting ready to respond to wildfire season. Natural Resources Minister Ian Bushey says they are not anticipating a wildfire season as bad as last year. 2025 saw the worst wildfires in our province in at least 30 years. The Canoe government says the province was as prepared as it could have been, but officials say Manitoba is even more prepared for this year.
Just on drought conditions and what it looked like for last year, and what that conversation would be in terms of saturation that's out there across all entities of Manitoba. We can share a map with you at some point in time, or not right now on this moment, as to what that looks like. But also, there's the fuel side of that, but there's also the preparedness side of that to be able to help mitigate any fire impact that would have.
Now, in terms of those preparations, government ministers outlined a handful of new actions that are currently underway. They include a new fire base in the Thompson area, hiring 19 firefighters, and converting 15 emergency management staff into permanent rather than term positions. They're recruiting and training community volunteer firefighters, particularly on First Nations, adding 3 new initial attack crews, and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on aerial firefighting and the province's fire mapping systems. Now, one key lesson that officials emphasized was that every aspect of the wildfire response needs to be coordinated and acted upon at once, rather than just treating each jurisdiction as its own unit, needing its own response. Lactabani Reeve, Lauren Schinkel says that approach made a big difference in his area.
That fire moved at an incredible pace, 1.7 kilometers an hour. It was burning at 1,600 degrees. 8,400 acres were burnt in a matter of several hours. Without the support of the various agencies, wildfire services, conservation, the province, the officials, Office of the Fire Commissioner, we wouldn't have gotten through that devastating event.
The province also announced today that the 2025 Wildfire Disaster Financial Assistance Program will now include dedicated funding for risk reduction and wildfire mitigation. Now, that means that municipalities will receive additional funding equal to 25% of their eligible costs to be used to shore up their defenses. Time now for our first check on the weather, and look at that. It is still plus 11 and clear skies. The barometer is falling. Humidity is at 53%. Now tonight, it is going to still stay above zero, 5 degrees, clear skies, and your wake-up weather, 8 degrees and mostly sunny.
It's such a tragedy to lose a loved one so young.
Calls for change after a fatal collision. What advocates say the city should do to make Winnipeg intersections safer. There are growing concerns tonight about the safety of pedestrians on Winnipeg streets. 32-year-old Gabe Beardy was hit and killed Sunday on Henderson Highway at a lighted crosswalk. And now, as CTV's Harrison Shin shows you, the city is being asked to find solutions.
A devoted father for four, that's how Gabriel Beardy's family is remembering him after he was hit by a car and died Sunday.
Well, the family is devastated. It's such a tragedy to lose a loved one so young, in his prime.
Police say it happened around 5:20 a.m. at this intersection of Henderson Highway and Neil Avenue in Winnipeg. Beardy was crossing on a crosswalk marked with lights when he was hit by a northbound vehicle. Police say the driver called 911 right away and remained at the scene. His family says he was sent to HSC but died at the hospital.
He loved to joke around. He was funny. He made friends wherever he went, and especially with family, he was always calling and checking in on his family members.
Now, advocates are calling for a reduced speed limit here. Linda Vandelar says statistics show speed affects how people survive collisions.
A low-cost solution to safer streets would be a lower speed limit here, and a lower speed decreases the severity of incidents.
Area Councillor Emma Durand-Wood says the residents have been calling for speed reductions for decades and agrees that the speed is an issue.
Is 60 the appropriate speed for Henderson? We'll see. We need to follow the science on this, and I think that's something, if we know that most collisions in the city are happening on these major streets, then that's a conversation that we need to have.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg police tell CTV News they have investigated 9 motor vehicle pedestrian collisions so far this year. 3 of them were fatal. 2 caregivers have been charged in the death of a northern Manitoba girl who suffered a head injury more than a year ago. Mounties say the 6-year-old was brought to hospital in the Pas in October of 2024. An initial report said that she had fallen from her bed. RCMP say the girl had serious injuries and bruises and was airlifted to Winnipeg, where she died a few days later. Investigators now say the girl's injuries were from an assault, which happened the day before she went to hospital. Last week, RCMP charged a 39-year-old woman with manslaughter, obstructing justice, and failing to provide the necessities of life. A 35-year-old man also faces a charge of failing to provide the necessities of life. The water in Steinbach is returning to normal after a water main in the city was damaged. Now, according to a post on the city's website, a private contractor was working on a development near the water main and it was damaged. It caused extremely high water flow and resulted in discolored water. This afternoon, the city was advising residents not to drink discolored water or use it to prepare beverages or infant formula until the situation was dealt with. Well, crews spent hours flushing the distribution system to remove that discolored water. And this evening, an update on the city's website told residents the distribution system had been cleared of the impact of the water main damage. It says if residents have any discoloration, they should run cold water from their taps for 10 to 15 minutes. And if the water is clear, it can once again be used normally.
I'm Daniel Halmerson. This may look like an off-road racetrack, but it's actually a back lane in the heart of St. Vital. Coming up, I'll tell you why residents are frustrated and what the city says it will do about the issue.
And we'll have your complete Skywatch forecast when we return. Welcome back. Our first weather picture this evening is this great photo. It was taken by Judy this afternoon at a sunny Victoria Beach. Now, Judy tells us there is still a lot of snow in the yards, but she can see some melting starting on Lake Winnipeg. Now, our second picture this evening is an awesome sunrise taken this morning near Hartney by Dylan. Now, you can see the sun and the clouds reflected in the water in the foreground. Great picture. Thanks to both of you for sending them in. You can send us your pictures to winnipegweather@ctv.ca. And it was a picture-perfect weather day here in Winnipeg anyway. We hit a high of 18 degrees by 7 this evening, and we had a lot of sun. But it was a different story up in northern Manitoba where winter doesn't seem to want to let go. As we go to the satellite map, you can see that there is a low pressure system that brought more of the white stuff up to northern Manitoba. And unfortunately for them, even more is on the way. Environment Canada has issued a winter storm warning, saying that a major storm is poised to hit the north later this week. It's going to start overnight tomorrow. That system will move into central Manitoba, and then it is going to be spreading northeast throughout the day. Now, areas from the Paw and Flin Flon east to the Ontario border, they're likely going to be getting rain, possibly freezing rain, and periods of heavy snow, all the way through to Friday, and it is going to be even worse further north. The snow will start falling Thursday, and it's going to continue all the way until Saturday afternoon. Now, Environment Canada says it's possible that these areas could see between 30 and 50 centimeters of total snowfall. Now, yesterday, it looked as if Winnipeg could be getting some snow as well, but doesn't look like we're going to be getting anywhere close to as much, obviously, as they were going to be getting. Now, the good news is we are not getting any snow here in Winnipeg, although we will have some rain on Wednesday evening, possibly some thunder showers as well. Let's take a look at the current temperatures now across the province. A gravel back lane in Old St. Vital is looking more like a dirt bike racetrack these days. The ground is thawing and has created quite the muddy situation for one homeowner. CTV's Daniel Halmerson explains.
TJ Dodora didn't know having a big truck would come in so handy just getting in or out of his own driveway in Old St. Vital.
I see a lot of cars going real slow and not quite getting stuck, but, you know, choking through.
But the new homeowner never expected the gravel back lane behind his house would turn into a mud hole come spring.
It seemed kind of good when it was dry at least, and then the winter came pretty soon after. And then, yeah, when it thawed and got wet, it kind of just turned into a mud bog.
Dodora says he's contacted 311 about the back lane, but says the responses he's received are just as muddy as the issue at hand.
I called them a few times asking for a timeline. I sent pictures in through their online system. And didn't get the greatest response, just kind of generic, saying they'll get to it eventually. No promises, no timeline.
Area Councillor Brian May says he understands Dodora's frustration. Getting gravel lanes fixed is a battle he's been fighting for years.
It's the number one source of complaint in my ward. I have tried mightily to get something accomplished.
But May says there isn't a concrete solution to the problem. He says the city ran a pilot project a few years ago using cement mix and gravel, but it didn't pan out.
Most people just say, can I get some gravel? And then I have to explain that isn't the way the city deals with it.
May says residents can vote to get their gravel back lanes paved, but they have to pay half the cost. That's what homeowners opted to do on this lane just a couple blocks away from Dodora's house.
We've done over 60 of them over the last 10 years.
May says there's money in the budget to upgrade gravel back lanes, but says little action is being taken.
I do want to ask the mayor, like, hey, this is in the strategic plan. Let's do something. Let's not let the $1 million a year go off to do something completely different.
TJ Dodora says anything would help at this point.
Pick up some of the mud and then just lay a bunch of gravel down. I think that'd be the typical system to go.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A city spokesperson tells CTV News stabilization work was done on the back lane in 2023. And since then, crews have addressed soft spots as required. However, there is no paving plans currently in the works.
They didn't believe that I'd find anybody online and that I didn't have any good games.
A joke about romance takes a man to a field full of dandelions. How he found something unexpected while he was there. Age is just a number when it comes to doing something you love, and a DJ collective in Germany is proving just that. Forever Fresh started out in Germany's club scene. The group is made up entirely of women aged 60 and older. When the ladies started, they thought that only family members would show up for their gigs, but they're now playing to younger crowds too. Their only complaint, a chair or two on stage would be nice. It started as a lighthearted joke for one Victoria man, and then it quickly blossomed into something real in a field full of dandelions. CTV's Adam Sawatsky explains.
Well, it's never comfortable trying new things.
I've never done this before.
Kyle Herskowian is blowing caution to the wind because he's looking for love online.
Brand new to me, too.
Kyle's here because a couple friends were concerned about the pictures he'd posted on his dating profile.
They didn't believe that I'd find anybody online and that I didn't have any good games.
So, a different friend, Kelsey Wood, agreed to help him take new ones.
To try to open his horizons and meet some new people.
Along with blowing dandelions in a field.
For a up-close, introspective look.
Kyle's posed with balls to show he's sporty, ducks to show he's caring, but then with a blazer.
And a business shot with me talking on the phone yelling at people.
And that's when this story takes an abrupt turn.
I don't think it would be good for a dating profile.
You see, Kelsey and Kyle are taking all these pictures as a joke to get back at those other friends who didn't believe that he could make a meaningful connection online.
They don't know that I'm actually seeing somebody, so...
Who are you dating?
A girl named Kelsey Wood.
Who he did successfully meet online, who you've already met in this story.
We've only been dating for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And
how's it going so far?
Good.
Yeah. We're in a field together. All of the afternoon.
Laying a foundation of fun together.
It's not about anything other than, enjoying your life and enjoying the little moments together.
I've always just wanted to meet someone that I can laugh with, and I feel like it's been nonstop laughs since we met.
And like blowing those dandelion seeds will likely lead to new plants growing, Kelsey and Kyle hope that using those silly photos to introduce her to his friends will lead to even more laughs blooming.
I hope they one-up us. Totally get us one day.
Yeah, they will.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
Our volunteers are truly part of our, everything we do.
Celebrating the people who donate their time, which organization is thriving even as others find volunteer numbers dwindling. And we'll have your 7-day Skywatch forecast next.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
We're going to be getting some showers on Thursday and possibly Wednesday evening as well, but look at those temperatures. They're going to be spectacular. New figures from Statistics Canada shows volunteer participation has been declining steadily over the past few years. However, not every organization is singing the blues. The Salvation Army says it has seen a significant increase in volunteers over the past 4 years. Countrywide, it went from 508,000 hours in 2021 to more than 819,000 volunteer hours in 2025. It says it's experiencing a similar momentum here in Winnipeg, with volunteers playing an important role in several of the charitable organization's programs. And now the organization is celebrating the work of the people who provided it with a helping hand.
Our volunteers are truly part of our, everything we do. If it's not volunteers, it's impossible to run those programs, right? And volunteers help us to support, thousands of people.
The Salvation Army would love to have more volunteers. For more information, just go to salvationarmy.ca/volunteer. And that's it for us tonight. For another look at tonight's stories, visit us online at ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Thanks so much for watching, and good night.